All right, welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to talk about how we simplify radicals. Now, anytime we want to simplify a radical, first thing we need to know is that a radical is just any number with a square root sign. Okay, so if a number has a square root sign, such as this one does, then this is something that we would call a radical. Now, as we're working today, our job is going to be to simplify these radicals. Now, just like we've been practicing in class a little bit, the way we're going to do this is by making a factor tree. So we want to come over here, and we want to break down each of these numbers. So 48, that's just 2 times 24. 24, that's just 2 times 12. 12 is just 2 times 6, and 6 is 2 times 3, right? Just like we were practicing in class. Now, you might not be as quick as I might be as going through and breaking those down, but I do know that you know how to do that because we've been practicing in class. Now, remember, we do circle the ones that don't get broken down any further. So when we come over there, remember how we wrote our code? We want to come over here and rewrite our code, but this time we're going to write our code underneath the square root. So our code here is, it's just these ending numbers. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. So we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Now, here's the new part. I call it the 2-for-1 special. Anytime you have two of the same thing on the inside, you get to pull one of those things to the outside. So here we go. I have right here 2 2's. So since I have 2 of the same, I get to pull one of those to the outside. So here's going to be that first 2. Now, if you look, I have another 2 2's over here. So since I have another 2 2's, I have another 2 that I can pull to the outside. Now, I can't touch the 3 over here because the 3, there's only one of them. So I can't do a 2-for-1 special, right? And when I mean 2-for-1, I mean 2 of them on the inside turn into one of them on the outside. 2 on the inside turn into 1 on the outside. Now, once I pull those out, we got to be very careful. These are no longer inside. They're gone. So the only thing that's left on the inside is just this 3 over there because there is only one of him. So the 3 sits right there. Now, this is where you got to be a little bit careful. Right now, this looks like it's 22, but it's not. It's really 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is going to be 4. So 4 square roots of 3 will be our answer. Let's do another one. So here's our next one, 80. So when you come over here, you want to break down 80. So 80 is, it's 2 times 40. 2 times 40 gives us 80. Now 2 isn't going to get any smaller, so we're going to circle it. 40 can get smaller though. 40 is going to turn into 2 and 20. So we'll circle the 2. 20 is going to turn into 2 and 10. And 10 is going to turn into 2 and 5. Now, 5 can't really turn into anything else. If you're like, well, 1 goes into 5, yes, it does, but notice how that didn't get any smaller. We still have the 5. So if 5 can't get any smaller, we just circle it and we're done, right? So you always want to get these as small as they can. Now, that means we can rewrite our code to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, right? All of our ending numbers. We had 4 2's and 1 5. Then we just want to do our 2-for-1 special. We have 2 of the same, we get 1 of those on the outside. 2 of the same, we get 1 of those on the outside. And then remember, those disappear. They're no longer on the inside. So on the inside, the only thing we had left here was just the 5. So that's going to stay right here. And then remember, this isn't 22. This is 2 times 2. Which is, of course, 4, which is why 4 square roots of 5 is our answer. Nice job. Hopefully you're looking at this and you're like, this isn't so bad. Here's another one, 45. Let's break it down. Hopefully you know that 45 is just 9 times 5. If you need to play around on your calculator, you certainly can. And the other thing to know is that if you break these numbers down a little bit differently than I do, we should always get to the same final circled answers. So it doesn't matter if you go about it a little bit differently. So 5 is just 5. That one we know doesn't get smaller. And then 9 breaks into 3 times 3. And those are both final products. So we can rewrite this as our code would be 335. So 335. Now we do that 2 for 1 special. So 2 3s, we get to pull 1 3 to the outside. These are going to be gone now. So what's the only thing left inside? The 5. And on the outside, I only had the 3, so I didn't even need to multiply it this time. So that's my final answer. Cool. Let's pick up the pace now that we've done a few more. So 105. Now, I'm not sure about 105, so I'm going to grab a calculator. Since it ends in 5, I do know 5 is going to go into it. So if I take 105 and I divide that by 5, I get 21. That means this is 5 times 21. Now, 21, I know divided by 3 is 7, so that means I can rewrite this as 3 and 7. And since none of these numbers get smaller, that's as good as this gets. Now, when I rewrite this over here, I'm going to have a 3, a 5, and a 7 on the inside. But if you notice, there's no 2 for 1 special that I can do here, right? I don't have 2 of the same thing because these are all different. So if I don't have anything that I can pull out, then my final answer, we just actually multiply these back together, and we're going to have 3 times 5 times 7. Let's use a calculator if we need to. 3 times 5 times 7 is 105. Well, duh, that kind of makes sense, right? Because that's where we started with, and we haven't changed it. So this becomes our final answer. Now, technically, I think on Schoology, if this is the case, you can put a 1 here. All of these technically have a 1 here, but I think on Schoology, that's what they're going to want you to do if it doesn't simplify. Here's another one, 54. Hopefully you know 54 is 9 times 6. 9 will break down into 3 and 3, and those, of course, don't go any farther. And 6 breaks into 3 and 2. So when I rewrite this, I'm going to have 3 times 3 times 3 times 2. 2 for 1 special, here it is. Pull it out. So I'm going to have a 3 on the outside, right, because these disappear now. Now, both of these were left unpaired. So if that's the case, then we multiply them together again. So 3 times 2 is just 6, which will make this our final answer. Nice job. Let's do another one. Here's 245. I don't know much about the number 245, but it ends in a 5. So I do know that 5 will go into it. Let's check how many times. So if you take 245 and you divide that by 5, you get 49. And if you think about 49, hopefully you know that that's just 7 times 7. Nice job. So if that's 7 and 7, 5 doesn't get smaller, 7 doesn't get smaller, and 7 doesn't get smaller. So we can rewrite this as 5 times 7 times 7, right? That was our code. Now, let's do the 2 for 1 special. 2 of the same thing. Pull one of those to the outside. What was left inside? Well, just the 5, which makes this our final answer. Nice job. Let's do another one. Let's do, how about this one? Let's do the square root of 30. I'm going to jump around here. So if you try to break down 30, maybe you know that 30 is 3 times 10. And 10 is just 5 times 2. Well, none of these numbers get any smaller, so that means I can rewrite this as 2 times 3 times 5. Or really any order of those numbers. Now, I don't have any 2 for 1 specials, so that means this doesn't get simplified. So we just want to come over here, rewrite this number on the inside, and we're going to put a 1 on the outside. Nice job. Let's talk about 144 for a second. This one's going to be a little special. So when you come over here to 144, since it's an even number at the end, I know 2 is going to go in. So let's see how many times 2 goes in. Oops, I don't want my Google. Hold on. I want my calculator. There it is, right next to it. So if I take 144 and I divide that by 2, I'm going to get 72. Now, 72 is an even number too, so I know 2 is going to go in again. So 72 divided by 2 is 36. And maybe, let's just say you know 36, that's 6 times 6. And every time I have a 6, that's 3 times 2. Those are both done. And 3 times 2. So, when I rewrite this, remember we always rewrite it with the smallest numbers first. So I'm going to grab a different color. So 2, 2, 2, 2. So I had 4 2s. And then 2 3s. Let's do our 2-for-1 specials. So we're going to have 1 2 that we can pull out. We can have another 2 that we're going to pull out. And we have a 3 that we can pull out too. Now, if you notice, there's nothing left inside the square root over here. That means that whole thing is gone. We don't have a square root in this problem. To finish the problem, we just need to multiply the outside numbers together. So 3 times 2 times 2, well, 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12, which makes this our final answer. Nice job, guys. I think I'm going to leave it there. I think you really do have enough information to go. So your homework over here is just a bunch of problems that look like this. There's 12 total. I think you honestly can do 12, and it's going to be good practice. Remember, this is a skill we're going to come back to over and over and over, so it's really important we get this down. Thank you guys so much for watching the full video. If you have any questions, just make sure you're reaching out. Thanks, guys.